Good afternoon and welcome. I am Crystal Williams, co-owner of Fishscale Restaurants. I have the pleasure of working side my younger brother, who I am very proud of, Chef Brandon Williams. And he's also the co-owner of Fishscale Restaurant. We are absolutely elated and honored to be the restaurant selected to host the Mayor's Press Conference and the 4th annual Black Restaurant Week. Yay! Fishscale is a family-owned restaurant. We have put our heart and our soul into the establishment of this restaurant. Fishscale was a passion and a dream and a calling that was given to my brother Brandon. And when he told me about his desire to open up Fishscale Restaurant, I saw the glow, I saw the passion, and I knew that this was his calling and exactly what it was he was supposed to do. So I took a sabbatical from my personal job to help my brother open up the restaurant. All right. The idea of Fishscale actually came when my brother was attempting to figure out what in the world to give my mother for her birthday. So he decided that since she loves food and he loves cooking, that was going to be the gift. And he created a fish burger at a family cookout. It was a huge success. And from there, we have trampolined several years to the establishment that you see right behind me. When people see Fishscale, they see the success, they see a family united, and they also know that the food tastes very, very amazing. But what they sometimes overlook is the grit and the struggle that goes into having a restaurant come to fruition. And there have been days when I wanted to crawl in a corner and cry. But I am so thankful for the mayor, the mayor's leadership, and the mayor's department, because I felt the burden lift off of my shoulders as I met several people in various organizations. The Office of Deputy Mayor for Planning and Economic Development took a weight off of my shoulders. Black Restaurant Week co-founders took a weight off of our shoulders. The Mayor's Office of African American Strategic Engagement took a weight off of our shoulders, as well as the Department of Small and Local Business Development. So we are standing here today successful because of the hearts and the souls of the people that work in these departments and took the time to invest in me. And sometimes I say little old me, but I'm so happy that they took the time to have those conversations. I'm happy to see that when I drive down the street, I see greatness in Miss Ali. And I know that I can make it too when I see public figures such as this. And so I'm going to turn the mic over to my brother. There's been so many things that the mayor's office has done, from grants that have been developed to the services and resources that oftentimes have been free that have been provided. Black Restaurant Week has helped to provide us with educational resources and financial knowledge and literacy that was needed. The mayor also helped small businesses with health insurance premiums, and all of these things have taken a huge weight. And I can't claim any of the glory of Restaurant Week or Fishscale. It is all my brother, and it is also my beautiful mother who was the inspiration behind the event. And now I'm going to turn the mic over to my handsome brother, who is going to have the pleasure of introducing the mayor.
I just wanted to say that the other day, one of my employees asked me if I didn't think I was going to make it, and I laughed and said, "Yeah, yesterday." Me and my sister, we always argue and bicker, but we love each other so much. Our family bond is so strong, and I'm just thankful for you all. I'm thankful for the mayor, and all that is great and good, but I like my mayor to eat good, and she eats good, and she came to the best restaurant, fast casual restaurant in the best neighborhood, Charlie Joint Park. So I just like to thank her and how she's coalescing like Washingtonians, the people that want to live in this great city. And she's giving everybody a fair shot. She's giving everybody a chance. She's listening to everybody. And that's what it's all about. So businesses can thrive, small businesses, big businesses. We can all thrive under the same umbrella, and we can all bring something cultural, something great to this great foodie city that I call D.C., and I love it so much. So I'm going to turn it over to the mayor. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Well, let's give a big hand to Crystal's handsome brother. Give Chef a big, big hand. Give Crystal a big, big hand. How about big sisters? That's what I'm talking about. That's what family business is all about. And we know that there's so many family businesses that are the fabric of the DC economy. And we know that COVID has not been friendly. And I want to thank DC residents that have stuck with our local businesses to get them through and over COVID. Thank you, DC. I want to acknowledge our council member who has joined us, Council Member Brianne Nadeau, and all the members of my team who are here, some of whom are going to speak to you today. But I particularly want to acknowledge Solana Vandernat. Today is her first official day as the new director of Nightlife and Culture. So give her a big round of applause. Some people call the Office of Nightlife and Culture the Nightmare's office. But I'm the nightmare. But Solana is going to be out pounding the pavement, making sure businesses have what they need. I also want to recognize Reverend Thomas Bowen. Reverend Thomas Bowen is here, who's been a member of my team for some time, called on when he was hired as the director of the Mayor's Office of Religious Affairs to make sure all of our faith communities have everything that they need, but also be a part of our charge to develop affordable housing in the city. Little did we know we would be attacked from all sides, from Asian hate to Muslim hate to all kinds of hate being spewed from the highest levels of office. And it was our Office of Religious Affairs that convened so many people to stand shoulder to shoulder with our DC values. And when you do a good job in my administration, I give you more work. So in that vein, Thomas is also taking over the Office of African American Affairs, and we've combined his role as the Director of African American Strategic Engagement. Thank you, Reverend Thomas Bowen. So we're here to celebrate Black Restaurant Week, to celebrate Black restaurants every day in Washington, D.C. Can you say yes to that? And we are also celebrating that D.C. is open. And we're open because of a lot of sacrifice and because smart people in D.C. follow public health guidance. And we're lucky to be able to support our food scene. It reflects so much of who and what we are in D.C. And we're lucky in so many ways to have a food scene like us. Like we do. Restaurants like Fish Scale, and now we know the history behind it, a great idea at a family convening turned into a representation right here in Shaw. Not only do we celebrate their great food, but what and how they represent DC culture and DC values. Owners born right here in Washington, D.C., understand the inspiration behind the restaurant. Your mom taught in D.C. for over 20 years, and I know that she instilled that love in you. Fish Scale is also one of our most environmentally responsible restaurants in the DMV. And today I want to personally nominate them for a DC Sustainability Award. Thus, Tommy Wells is here. I think he has something to do with that. And we love to hear about our homegrown entrepreneurs representing the community. On this same block, we have also another great Black-owned restaurant called Half Smoke. And right down the street, of course, is the original Ben's and Ben's Chili Bowl. And so up and down U Street and down Georgia Avenue and all across DC, we have so many other Black-owned restaurants that Washingtonians love to visit. And we know that they weathered the storm during this pandemic. Crystal referred to a number of programs and services that we have been able to put together through this emergency. We're grateful to the partnership with the council that really allowed us to get emergency relief out to our businesses. And I know that John will say a little bit more about that. But one of the tools that we're using is the Food Access Fund, which will allow us to invest $58 million to get more fantastic restaurants and grocery stores in places that don't have them. One of our big pushes is for restaurants, retailers, groceries that have been successful in certain parts of the city, like right here in Ward 1, to think about opening a second or third location in Ward 7 or 8. What do you think, Fish Scale? It's not a challenge necessarily, but we know that people like great food all over the city. So today I'm happy to announce another round of grantees that will get grants to open and expand their businesses in Ward 7 and 8. Sweet Tooth will open in Anacostia. The Fresh Food Factory grocery store will open in Kenilworth. Sala Thai will open in Hill East. Half Smoke will open in Skyland and downtown Minnesota Avenue. DC City Smokehouse will open in Anacostia. Route 657 Cafe to open in Skyland. The Highlands Cafe to open. I've gotten a lot of my money over the years. Oh, man. Highland Cafe to open in Penn Branch, and the MLK Deli will open in Deanwood. That's what I like to hear. So when we talk about how we can recover from this pandemic and do it equitably, when we can list off 8, and I got to give my team a big round. Give them a big round of applause at DimPad. I knew we were making some big announcements today, but that's big. When we talk about neighborhoods that don't have fresh food or sit-down restaurants, and we can make an announcement that 8 are going to go into Ward 7 and 8 using these grants and the $58 million fund, that's big news for our city. And that's how we ensure that we have great neighborhoods, that we have employment opportunities, that we have budding entrepreneurs and growing entrepreneurs in all 8 wards. And I'm really proud of that. So let me introduce your council member who is also very focused on making sure that Ward 1 businesses, and I dare say businesses in all 8 wards, have exactly what we need. Brianne Nadeau.
Thank you, Mayor Bowser, and thank you so much for hosting this kickoff here in Ward 1, just down the street from our historic, all our longtime Black businesses, whether it's Ben's Chili Bowl or Lee's Flowers or Industrial Bank. So happy to be here today with Fish Scale, just down the street from Half Smoke, in the shadow of Howard University, and just across the street from the Howard Theater. We're standing right here in what was Black Broadway, but it's a place that's changed a lot. And so as we celebrate Black restaurants during Black Restaurant Week, we have to remember that investing in Black businesses is investing in our African American community at large. That if we care about those communities, that we have to shop local, we have to shop at Black businesses, we have to eat at Black restaurants, and we have to put our money where our mouth is. I remember eating out now that I have 2 small children, it's been a little while, but I remember what it was like to take advantage of Restaurant Week, and I'm going to keep trying to do it again today. I think we're going to get a little taste. But for those of you who aren't chained to your toddler, please come out, shop, eat, and of course it's Restaurant Week, so eat a lot. You remember, there's lunch specials, there's dinner specials. You can do a tour of all those restaurants that you've always been wanting to go to. Support our business owners. And I just want to say once again, thanks Mayor Bowser for being here in Ward 1 to kick off the week, and for all of these great announcements about how we're expanding funding across the river. It's wonderful, it's exciting, and our businesses deserve it. Thank you.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. I'm John Falchicchio, and I have the honor of serving as Deputy Mayor for Planning and Economic Development under Mayor Bowser. And I'm here today because this is about not just what we as a government can do, but we as a community can do. There's so many people, I know it's hard to see on camera, but surrounding this event right now who could help us in this work. So one, it's DMV Black Restaurant Week, right? And we're going to hear from Chef Tate and Dr. Tucker, too, about how you can support businesses during this week and about all the great excitement that they have about this week. But what we found during the pandemic was that D.C. residents really stepped up to support small businesses. They went out and they ate a little bit more. Raise your hand if you ate a little bit more during the pandemic. Okay, I see that. And they actually took care of the workers at those restaurants, right? They tipped a little bit more, too. So raise your hand if you did that, too. Okay, a lot of good people doing that. And one of the things that we worked on in DemPed is said, how do we take that generosity, that support, and really that community building that happened during the pandemic and extend it beyond? So DemPed is working with an entity called the SMBX, right? And so what does that do? It actually allows DC residents to invest in DC businesses. And it's not charity, it's actually an investment, so you'll get a return on that investment. And so what DemPed has done has helped small businesses get on this platform by paying all the fees that it would normally to apply to be on it. So DC residents, what you have to do is go check out the SMBX.com, and that's where you can see DC businesses posted that you can invest in. And what we know is that when people are investors, they'll also be even better customers, right? So we want folks to check that out at thesmbx.com. So support Black Restaurant Week, support thesmbx.com, but then also, what are we going to do as a government? So the mayor mentioned the Food Access Fund. The mayor and her partners on the council set up a fund of $58 million to support food access points in places that don't have as good a food access point as we need them to have. And so the mayor went through a couple of the recipients of the first round of funding. That's over $9 million invested in the restaurants that she named. But it's a $58 million fund. So if you don't know Sarosh Odpadwala and Tim White, they'll raise their hands. They're in the back there. They're opening up the fund again today in order to accept applications to create even more food access points in Wards 7 and 8. So that $58 million will get invested. And what Mayor Bowser challenged us to do was to find restaurants who are west of the river to go east of the river. And so we're going to hear from Andre McCain today, who's the proprietor of Half Smoke, who's opening not one, but 2 restaurants east of the river with the Food Access Fund. And then finally, there's a lot of people who want to be food entrepreneurs, who maybe work out of their home, who have an idea about being a restaurateur. Anybody here have an idea about being a restaurateur? Here's your chance. I'll give you the mic. That's okay, even if you don't. We want to get you prepared. So if you're working out of your home, if you're being a food entrepreneur, if you have a catering business, let's say, and what we want to do is to make sure that your home-based business grows into a business that actually employs your neighbors as well. So what Mayor Bowser set up was the Nourish DC. And Nourish DC actually invests grants, loans, and technical assistance in those small businesses to make sure that they can grow from an entrepreneur who maybe works out of their home into a business. So I mentioned a lot of different ways that you all can help and that we're going to help. And we have those all posted at obviously.dc.com. So if you go to obviously.dc.com, that's where you can find all the opportunities that I just talked about. But It's noon. I'm getting hungry. So let's hear a little bit more about Black Restaurant Week, and I'll invite up Chef Tate and Dr. Tucker.
Thank you so much, Mayor Bowser, Deputy Mayor John. Always good to see you. Thank you so much. In 2018, myself, I'm Dr. Erin Tucker, Chef Tate, Farrar Tate, and Andra, A.J. Johnson, decided that we were going to do something about a statistic that was reported by the National Restaurant Association, that there were only 4% of restaurants were Black-owned. We didn't look at that as a bad thing. We looked at that as a call to action. And guess what? The DMV community and DC, you answered. When we came together, we knew that a week would not be the tool that would be able to sustain businesses, but we knew that there would be a celebration and that we had to be 365 days connected to the businesses here. It is really we really acknowledge the Bowser administration for allowing us to serve as a conduit to make sure that all businesses, but specifically Black-owned businesses in the food space, have a direct connect to the offices. We are CBE certified. Thank you to DSLBD. We would like to acknowledge DC Black Chamber of Commerce as well as RAMW, who have offered a year membership to any food service provider that would like to sign up for DMV Black Restaurant Week. The Greater Washington Urban League, Washington, D.C. Economic Partners, Marshall Heights Development Community Organization, Anacostia Economic Development, the Washington Informer, DSLBD, DMPED, DCRA. We also could not be here without organizations that really believed in us since we started in 2018. The Washington Informer, Thompson Hospitality, DoorDash, Destination DC, Yelp DC, Pepco, the Ali Family, Metropolitan AME, and Pennsylvania Avenue Baptist Church. This year, we have partnered with Sandlot, whose mission is very, very close to our mission. And we are going to come together to be able to provide on Saturday at Sandlot Navy Yard an opportunity to come out, see our food trucks, and have a little bit of go-go, of course. Our mission, DMV Black Restaurant Week, is to help support and sustain Black-owned businesses in the food space by providing professional development and education by creating a food ecosystem. You, those of you listening, and everyone that is not here but is supported, you are the ecosystem. Please make sure that you support where you are. On that note, I am going to actually turn this over to Farrar Tate.
We started by going to our elders and asking for permission. You think about this. We live in a city that is steeped in history. Our churches, Florida Avenue Baptist, Pennsylvania Avenue Baptist, Masjid Muhammad right around the corner. And so we wanted to make sure that our businesses get reconnected to our community. And because when you get connected to your community, you have the roots to sustain and grow. And so, Miss Ali, can you please, the oldest, when you think about service, that's the only way. You told us we have to serve each other, to care for each other.
Absolutely.
And when you do that, you can sustain a business for as long as you desire. So please, tell us the secret.
Well, it's been a pleasure to serve this amazing community in this beautiful city for 63 years. Ben and I opened it in 1958. And we knew we wanted to be part of a community. But for me to be here today and to see all of this and to be a part of this DMV restaurant celebration,
There we go.
Black History, it's
Black
so
History.
wonderful.
Yeah,
and more
absolutely.
importantly, to be here under the leadership of our mayor
Absolutely.
and deputy mayor and our city council. We can't ask for more. Really. I mean, this is the best time of my life. Just under you, my dear. Yeah, this is wonderful. And Thank you.
Thank
to
you.
And to you and your team for making this, bringing this to the attention of our community.
Thank you.
For saying to all of us that we need to support our black restaurants.
Yes.
That's how we survive, and it's very easy to do. All you got to do is give good service and good food. It's really not rocket science, right?
Not at all.
That's all you got to do.
And you told us, when all of us, please look at the person beside you. Instead of just saying just hello, think about it. How can we serve each other better? How can we literally take care of one another? And when we do that, we would keep our businesses, which is the fabric of our community. When you want to explore a culture, you do it through food. And
That's
we
right.
do it at
well,
Ben's.
we've always come together around food.
Yes.
We've always done. That's our culture.
That's it.
Absolutely.
We also want to thank the Greater Washington Urban League because we have to give our restaurants the training that they need to sustain. So thank you so much. Let me bring you back.
Thank you, darling. Thank you all. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Since 2018, Half Smoke, Andre McCain, has been an absolute supporter of DMV Black Restaurant Week. As Andre comes up, we want to thank him as well as acknowledge a few more offices because we are real. The Office of African American Affairs, the Office of Community Affairs. Thank you so much to the Mayor's Office of Nightlife and Culture, who've been with us since the beginning. Events DC, the DC Office of Cable Television, Film, Music, and Entertainment, and the DC Commission on the Arts and Humanities. Without further ado, Andre McCain.
Hello. So thank you, Mayor Bowser. Thank you, Deputy Mayor, as well. I'd like to also acknowledge Mrs. Ali, as well as Mark Barnes. He was just here somewhere. He's over there. It's really important to acknowledge that we do stand on the shoulders of giants. Also, congratulations, Miss Solana. A great hire. I've been trying to get her on the team for years. So she's going to be fantastic. I'd first like to start off with thanking the mayor and the entire city for supporting restaurants during the pandemic. After having to make what was obviously an unpopular decision to close restaurants for safety purposes, it was a very, very bleak time. A lot of people were worried would restaurants continue, but the city acted very progressively in terms of opening streeteries like the one we have across the street, allowing to go alcohol, and really creating flexibility, whether it was funding for heaters, whatever the city could do to become a resource during that time. And so we're here. And I think a lot of businesses survived during that time period. And so we really, really have to thank the mayor for that. So thank you. I'd also like to thank the mayor about extending food access to east of the river. I grew up in Deanwood and really close to the Minnesota Avenue location that we're opening. I went to 10th grade at Friendship Edison. A lot of my friends at the time worked at McDonald's. And then and even now, all we had for food was McDonald's or carry out. And it's very important to understand that healthy, accessible, affordable food east of the river is a major priority, not only in terms of the safety of people, but also to catalyze these beautiful, wonderful neighborhoods that so often we forget about. And as DC becomes more expensive, certainly it's hard to afford those neighborhoods without subsidies like DMPA is providing. So once again, thank you very, very much. We're super excited about opening up east of the river. The last thing I just wanted to say was sort of highlighting the importance of Black Restaurant Week. I think whenever there's a celebration of something that is pertaining to one group, you have to ask the question why. And I think the reason why is we want to be able to tell all of our young boys and girls that this could be you too. You can open up a business, whether it's a restaurant or any other business that you want to do, and you can pull it off. And we also want to shed light on all the positive things that African Americans are doing within our community. We so often hear the negative things, and it's really draining and it's really frustrating because there's so many great things going on across the city in Washington, D.C. And then lastly, we want to highlight the amount of African American employees who disproportionately work at these restaurants. The head of our restaurant is a Black woman. She's here today, just like the head of our city is. And I think that's super important because those people don't always get opportunities to run other businesses, particularly in the restaurant industry. So thank you very, very much, all of you guys, for coming. And we look forward to a great Black Restaurant Week.
Nice words. Let's give a big hand to Andre. the DMV Black Restaurant Week, and everybody assembled. We're about to go into the fish scale for a tasting. But before we do that, I'm going to take a few press questions. Any questions? Yes, Sam.
Yes, Mayor. Sort of off topic, actually, really. It's about food, though. The Captain White's restaurant. Well, I guess they do serve cooked food as well, but Captain White's has left the, I guess it's the municipal fish market. Is that what it's officially called? I think. But in any event, it's raised a concern about businesses sort of being, pushed out by development. And you have this massive development there called the Wharf, and then you have this relatively small fish market, and they're gone. And I understand it's a city property. What do you have to say about that?
Well, I'm saddened by it, Sam, that over the course of many years, long before we were in office, that the Wharf and the tenant, the Captain White's, couldn't work out a lease arrangement. And unfortunately, that went all the way south. And they've decided not to stay there and enter a new lease. What's important to us moving forward is that the Wharf continues to be the Wharf, and that there's fish selling going on at the Wharf. And that has been my conversation with the property owner down there, that we're going to continue to work with them to help them either grow the other fish seller who's there, or find others.
So that, I guess that was it. Is it? There's only one merchant down there at this point, and if it's a city market, shouldn't it be open to more businesses?
I think it should be open to as many businesses as the pier can accommodate, and there's some question about investing and making sure that the pier can accommodate more. But I do think it should be about crabs and fish and seafood, which is what it's always been during my whole life. So they could accommodate other vendors, but I think what's important to us is that it continue to be a seafood seller. And so we're going to work with the owners down there to make sure they have a strategic plan to do exactly that.
Did you think that Captain Jack's got a fair shot?
I think that there's been some pretty intense litigation over many years. And they didn't come out on the winning end of that litigation. And so it's too bad that it couldn't be worked out. Any other questions? Yes.
Hi, Mayor. One question for you. Obviously, you're talking about food access and back on the topic here, but still east of the river, there's a vast difference when it comes to the number of grocers. So talk a bit about, what's being done to work on that.
There is a vast difference, but I'm proud to say it's much better than it was 7 years ago when I became mayor. We are going to be opening 2 new grocers in Ward 8, the Good Food Market, that also follows the model that I talked about earlier. And that model is you have a successful business in another part of the city, in their case, in Northeast. How can we interest you in growing your business in another part of the city where we need it? And Good Food Market took us up on that, and I'm happy to say that that's going to change. Lidl, Skyland, another instance of a project that was stalled and is now finishing and will deliver, and we've attracted a grocer there. We're also focused, in this $58 million fund is going to help us on another project that had been long promised in Ward 7 that's tangled up between a property owner and a tenant, that we are going to help them fix. And when we fix that entanglement problem at that site, we think we have a good opportunity for another grocer. So I've talked to you about 3 that are going to deliver, and I think we have really strong prospects for 2 more. But I think we all learned, as someone mentioned, I think it was John, that says during this pandemic, what we realize is everybody gets their food from a lot of different places. They make food at home. They have takeout and delivery. They want to go sit down in their neighborhoods. And the 8 grantees that I just mentioned who are going to open new locations in Ward 7 and 8 will tremendously expand the food access issues.
I'm wondering if we might hear from the owner of Half Smoke,
Sure.
Andre, and just if you could just talk a little bit more about, I mean, you're rather candid about growing up in that neighborhood and now going back to that neighborhood. One, would you have been able to do it without the grant that you're getting from the city? And why, again, is it just so important for you personally to take your business back east of the river?
Yeah, so to be very, very candid, we would not have been able to afford either location if it were not for the grant. And the reason for that is oftentimes it's a very daunting thing to open up a new business in a new area where you're not quite sure if you're going to do well. And so you have to convince investors, you have to convince banks to invest in that project. And that's a very challenging thing to do, even if you're in Northwest or anywhere else in a major city. And so the Food Access Fund really allows us to pay for build out. It allows us to pay for rent. It allows us to pay for employees. It makes us more financeable. It gives us more confidence about being able to open in these locations. And it really is exciting for us because we're also able to create jobs. We have over 100 employees that work here in Half Smoke at this location. There'll be several hundred more at the other 2 locations east of the river. And so that's really what it's all about for me, because I went in the restaurant business to do just that. I was fortunate enough to grow up in Deanwood and graduated from Wilson ultimately and went to college at Morehouse and worked in finance and Wall Street and all those things in New York City. But I wanted to do something that was a bit more fulfilling, a little bit more community-oriented, and do something that could create a lasting impact, just like Miss Ali has with Ben Chili Bowl. And so it's very important for me to be able to go back, like I said, and show them that, hey, I was a kid just like you, walking these same streets, doing all the same things that you guys are doing now, and be able to tell that story and show them what they can do. And we have a lot of our employees now, probably about 90% of them are DC residents, and most of them live over east of the river. And so we're also making it more accessible for them to get a job. And so that's really what it's all about. And again, thank you, Deputy Mayor, and thank you, Mrs. Mayor.
Thank you. Thank you. Any other press questions?
I have another one for you. So obviously you are aware that foreign travelers, they're opening up, to people who are vaccinated. So your reaction, obviously tourism, a big thing, hit and impacted greatly in D.C. Talk about, your feelings.
I'm thrilled. I'm grateful to the Biden administration, particularly Secretary of Commerce Raimondo, who've been very focused on a safe reopening of our borders. I think there are over 30 countries now who are eligible to travel to the U.S. For us to come all the way back, and I frequently say this, we like to talk about food and hospitality, and it's fun, right? But it's not all fun and games for us, because what people do in restaurants and hiring DC residents and serving conventioneers is real life for us, because all of that hospitality money that comes into the city allows us to invest in schools and homeless services and mental health services. So it really is critical to how we run our city. So we're very happy that our international travelers are coming back. Before the pandemic, more than 20 million. We had a record-breaking year. Miss Ali knows this, of international travel. We love international travelers. They stay longer. More nights in a hotel, more nights and butts and seats in restaurants, right? And they keep coming back to Washington. So we're grateful to welcome our travelers back. All right, everybody, let's go see the fish scale, and then I will come back out for any community questions.